Hello there again. Welcome to another episode of PEM Rules, the Pediatric Emergency Medicine Podcast, episode 6. And today we're going to start our clinical care tips discussion on procedures. We have several rules regarding procedures, rules that I think about every time I do a procedure. Rule number 20, do it the right way, the same way every time. We often hear the phrase, if it's not broken, don't try to fix it. And this is exactly how I explain this rule. If something is working, why would you change it? So I always tell the residents, do it the right way, the same way every time. The right way, know the anatomy, learn the technique, get a good book. These days you can learn a lot by some videos online. Just learn it the right way. Same way is because, as you guys know, variation by itself risks a lesser outcome, lesser success. If you change something every time you do it, you will not reach an expert level and you will not improve. There is also a higher rate of complications when you are inconsistent. And every time, because repetition is good, it leads to excellence. Most experts are expert in their field because of repetition. So do it the right way, the same way, every time. Rule number 21. If you don't recognize the anatomy, it's time to call for a consult. I think it is very important for us emergency physicians to remember that we are in many ways jack of all trades. We are not specialists of one organ or one organ system, and we must know what we don't know. If there's a procedure to be done with an area that involves some complicated anatomy, that includes some vital structures, it is beyond my scope. A good example is when I see kids with lacerations in the epicantral folds, inner or outer canthus. Those locations contain some lacrimal ducts, some lacrimal glands, and some other important structures that are beyond my scope. It is time to call for a consult. Rule number 22. When the patient is cooperative, go for perfection. One of the biggest challenges in PEM is doing procedures on uncooperative crying kids. It often involves an anxious parent and is simply challenging for all those reasons. Under those circumstances, I simply do the best I can to prevent complications. For example, irrigating a wound to prevent infection as opposed to just giving antibiotics. And I make cosmesis my last priority. However, if I have a patient with good pain control, good distraction with child life, a good parent, and the patient whom I'm suturing is still uncooperative, I add cosmesis to my priority list and I go for perfection. Put as many sutures as I need in there, as close as I can get them, and just do the best job. So when the patient is cooperative, go for perfection. Rule number 23. If you haven't missed many, you haven't done enough. This rule mostly relates to when I do an LP or reduce fractures. I always do my best. I prepare the best I can, communicate with my assistants, orthotech, or nurses holding the baby, what I need, but I unfortunately sometimes miss. I miss the LP or the reduction just doesn't work. I move on. I don't take it to heart. I don't get upset. I think it's very important to keep calm and understand that sometimes it doesn't always work. What is the point in getting upset? To me, it simply means I need more practice. Same with appendicitis. I think all of us PEM doctors have missed the case of appendicitis, maybe 2 or 3 or more. I've sent kids home who unfortunately came back with a perforated epi. I don't take it to heart. I just simply learn from my mistake. I read the chart and try to figure out what I missed and how can I do better. But I think it's very important to move on, not get emotional about it, and realize that if you haven't missed many, you simply haven't done enough. Rule number 24. Be a perfectionist and sweat the small stuff. Parents, trust a perfectionist who sweats even the smallest details. Much of what I do as a physician, taking care of children, has to do with taking care of the parents, at least emotionally. Making good impression and looking confident is a major part of what I do, especially with regards to procedures. Assuming the circumstances allow, I try to be a perfectionist, do the best I can, and make sure the parents are aware of it. Rule number 25. Make the dressing very pretty. It's the last thing parents see you do and what they will look at for the next several days. This rule really has to do with the previous two rules and making good impression. A sloppy dressing screams bad doctor or mediocrity, and it's not something I want. So I always make sure the parents see that I'm trying to do the best. I try to make the dressing look very professional and pretty. Again, that's the last thing they see me do, and it's what they will stare at for the next few days until they see the orthopedist or the specialist who might change my dressing. Rule number 26. When doing a procedure, the whole cart comes in the room. Generally speaking, I always need more supplies than I thought I would when I do a procedure. Things rarely go my way. Nothing looks more unprofessional to the parents than a doctor who walks in and out of the room getting more supplies every time. Another suture, more saline for irrigation, etc. Bringing the whole cart in the room may seem like an overkill, but one cannot be overprepared. So even when I just remove a foreign body, suturing the smallest laceration ever, the whole cart comes in the room. You never know what you're actually going to need, and the parents will not be very impressed if you're stepping in and out several times. So when doing a procedure, the whole cart comes in the room. So those are the rules for today, guys. I hope you enjoyed it. Let's just go through it one more time. Rule number 20. Do it the right way, the same way, every time. Rule number 21. If you don't recognize the anatomy, it's time to call for a consult. Rule number 22. When the patient is cooperative, go for perfection. Why not? Rule number 23. If you haven't missed many, you haven't done enough. It's as simple as that. Rule number 24. Be a perfectionist and sweat the small stuff. Parents trust a perfectionist who sweats even the smallest details. Rule number 25. Make the dressing very pretty. It's the last thing the parents see you do, and it is what they will look at for the next several days. Rule number 26. When doing a procedure, the whole cart comes in the room. That is it for today, guys. Thank you very much for tuning in. Please check out PEMRules.com. Submit any feedback, requests. I would love to hear from you. Have a good day.